picky eater, this is the live that you're going to want to watch. I shared a video about this on TikTok, and I want to talk about it more because I see it so much and it's very, very common. I did a poll about it on Instagram stories, and a lot of people do feel as though they have these desperate moments at meal times that can lead us to do these things that actually make picky eating worse and make the mealtime dynamics worse. So whether that is praising your child or bribing them, or like, I'm desperate for you to try this, I want you to eat it, can really cause more problems down the road, and also increase your stress and anxiety levels. So in this TikTok video that I shared today, it was, what do you do? Do you praise your child when they try something new? And a lot of people have basically said, I think the overwhelming majority, a few people said they praise, but a lot of people said, I don't move. I'm afraid to do anything. So like, it's basically, I don't move a muscle was like the common theme. And I found that really interesting, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it, because that to me is showing that you're so surprised it's happened, you don't know what to do. So first of all, it's great not to praise, because when you do praise, it is it's less overt of pressure than like, eat your broccoli. But like, imagine if somebody, I actually talked about this in the group coaching call that I just finished, would be like, imagine if you were sitting down and eating something at a friend's house, or you're at a restaurant with some friends and you ate something, and your friend turns to you and goes, well done, Talia, like, well done, like, you ate that and I'm really impressed that you ate that. You're such a good person, or something like that. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, it's been a long time. I don't praise my kids. I don't know what you tell me what you typically say when you praise your child, like, well done for trying that, or good job, or something like that. But if someone did that to you, you'd be like, thanks. Like, you didn't need to draw attention to that. And when you do draw attention to that, it actually has the opposite effect of what you want. Like, for me, and I know we're all different, and I know kids are all different too, but it does draw attention to them, and it might make them less likely to do it in the future because they don't want that attention. Oh, mom said this to me. That didn't feel comfortable. I won't do it again. And so you can actually end up shooting yourself in the foot. So that's why you don't want to praise at meal times, essentially. Now, I want to talk about this. Don't move a muscle, like, don't move, don't look, don't say anything. I want you to be so comfortable and confident that your child is going to do those things. Yes, sometimes they're going to surprise you. I had a client this week who, she followed our protocol of how to help her child try sardines. This is a child who's 4 years old that does not eat hardly any meat and no fish. So this was a big challenge. This is only our 4th call. We talked about this on our 3rd call. And I'm like, we're going straight in. We're going to do tinned sardines, and this is how we're going to do it. We outlined an entire process of what to do to make sure that it was going to be successful, or as successful as it possibly could be. And the goal in this is never that the child actually eats the food. That's never the expectation. When you go in with that expectation and it doesn't happen, which it probably won't the first time, you're going to be disappointed. We don't want that. We don't want your child to feel like they've disappointed you. That's the exact opposite of what we want. So in this situation with the sardines, the child did try them. She ate them with the bones out of the can, and then they made a sardine noodle salad. And the kid had seconds of it, even though she said she wasn't going to. She ate the spine of the sardine, and then she ate seconds of it, and then they had saved some, and she ate it several days later and also asked for seconds. This is like an amazing first go. That's not what I don't expect that at all. Normally I would expect the child to interact with it, but not taste it or like put it near their mouth, which is totally what you would expect. So this mom had an amazing experience, and that's really great, but most experiences won't be like that. But going back to the bribing and the not moving a muscle when your child tries something new, I want you to be so confident at mealtimes where you're like, they did try that. I'm not surprised. You can say like you can feel surprised. I shouldn't say that you can't feel surprised. Of course you can feel surprised, but you don't need to censor yourself where you don't say anything. Like, you could casually talk to your spouse and be like, I'm really enjoying this thing. Or talk about something totally random. You're not going to disturb your child. You're allowed to exist in this world and just like your child is allowed, like your child's allowed to have their own autonomy, you are as well. And I want, if you walk away with nothing else from this live, it's just going to be a short one. I might answer a couple of questions, but if you walk away with nothing else other than permission to be confident and that it is okay to talk, exist, and breathe while your child is eating something, you have that permission. You are allowed to be. And I want you to be confident that your child will eventually try these things. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a little look here to see if you have a question. Type it into the box with the little question mark, and I can answer a couple. Hi. Oh, it's so nice to have some like people on live. I know it's kind of late in US time. It's whenever I go live at this time, it's a little bit late. A lot of people are already going to bed. Courtney says I would need a whole appointment. You would, and in fact, I don't offer single sessions because it's impossible to make progress in a single session. I can give you lots of tips, but without the follow-up and the accountability and troubleshooting, one session is not going to do you any good. So when we work one-on-one, my typical program is actually 5 months. Hi from Australia. I'm also in Australia, in Adelaide. So what was I saying? Usually for 5 months, because that's how long it takes to make, these are big changes. These are things that are ingrained. I shared a Daniel Tiger post on Instagram. If you haven't seen it, go have a look at it on Instagram. These things are ingrained in us in society to pressure our children to eat. You can't make these changes in one day. I just got off my group coaching call. We are week 4. We're halfway through. And the group coaching it's 8 weeks. It is highly intensive. We do a call every single week, except 1 week we take a week off, but we still have our private chat where we talk, and I provide you accountability and answers to questions during the week. So we get off this call and you have direction. I've given you your homework. Let's say you do your homework tonight and it all goes to shit and something goes wrong and you need help. You just go on the chat and you send me a message and I'll get back to you. I've been utilizing a lot of voice notes for parents because our tone and our language matters a lot. And when I work with clients, we're working on mindset, but we're also working a lot on communication. Okay, I'm scrolling back because I saw a bunch of questions come through on Instagram. How soon after dinner should I offer dessert? Sarah, you must be new here. Go and have a look at some of my dessert videos. I suggest you put it on the plate, not after dinner. Entirely unrelated, but unrelated-ish. I didn't cave and give my son food before dinner. He tried 2 things he normally wouldn't. That's fantastic. Amber, well done. These little wins all add up. I've got to say, so in my group today, a lot of the parents were saying just some little things that they had, like one kid licked jam off a spoon where he hadn't done that before, and she said even a month ago he wouldn't do that. That sounds like the tiniest win. It's huge. It's huge. It's great for the child as well because they're building their own confidence. It's really great. I'm really glad you liked the video. I've seen so many tips for veggies, but what about a kiddo that doesn't really eat meat? You're just like the client that I was talking about, that a 4-year-old doesn't eat any meat or fish, and she's been eating beef recently, and she ate sardines out of the can with the bones. It was new for her. It's a really, really big deal. All right, let's have a look here. Oh, I had a question box in my stories, so now I've got a whole bunch of questions that have come up from there, so I'm not sure who's submitted what from today. So maybe if you're on Instagram, just put your question in the comments. What about when kiddos ask for serving? Oh, ask for serving after serving of milk. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yes, I'm glad you brought that up because double tap the screen if you have a child who's a picky eater that is relying a lot on milk, relying very heavily on milk. I see this a lot. In fact, 4 out of the eight people in my group have this problem, and we've been working towards removing. Well, I should say they have. We checked in today. Like I said, this is week 4. We've just wrapped up week 3. In less than 3 weeks, they have removed the milk bottle, like a baby milk bottle, from their child. One child is 2, and the other ones are 3 and 4. This is a really big deal. And they were able to do this with very minimal meltdowns in about a week. And I've done this with one-on-one clients as well. Doesn't like cheese or potatoes, but eats everything else. Should I be worried? Probably not. If she's eating a variety from all other food groups, I wouldn't be terribly worried. But I would continue to still offer those foods like cheeses. There's so many different varieties. You can melt it, you can have it like on toast, you can have it plain. Like there's so many ways that you can continue to expose. So continue to expose. Same with potatoes. Many ways to cook them. Continue to expose and keep an eye on it, because if the food list does start to shrink, that's a red flag. My son's in feeding therapy, 3 years old, and sometimes he shuts down during our sessions. They try to bribe him with playtime. Is there a way around that? Talk to them. Feeding therapy, they shouldn't be doing that. They should know better than to. Oh, sorry, I think clicked away. They should know better than to do that. I've actually worked with a number of parents that have done feeding therapy and not had success. And thank you for the fairy bread. Someone on TikTok sent me a fairy bread. If you don't know what fairy bread is, it's like an Australian birthday party thing for kids, where it's basically white bread with butter and sprinkles on the top. We all grew up eating it at birthday parties. Anyway, okay, totally unrelated. Is there a way around that? I would talk to them, talk to the feeding therapy people. The other thing I've heard with feeding therapy, like most feeding therapists are fabulous. What I have heard, though, from several parents where they went to feeding therapy was that the person who was there, it's like a coaching session with the child, and they can put like the person who's there can put on like this huge song and dance and be like all animated and do these things to help the child in the session. But then when you go home, you're a parent, you might have 2 other kids, you might have 1 other kid, you might be working full time, you might be tired, whatever, like you probably are. You can't necessarily keep that up at every meal. So you need stuff that you can feasibly and sustainably do during meal times. And like that's what I help my clients with, is it has to be sustainable. And I will often say things like, I've got a crazy idea for you, and you've got to tell me if you don't think it's going to work. Because if it's not going to work for you, I don't want you to get off the call and be like, now I can't do this thing that Shatalia wanted me to do because it's not feasible. It has to be feasible. You have to be able to do it in the long term. All right. I am going to answer this one more question. Do you allow seconds of their favorite food even though they don't touch other things on their plate? Becca, that if you're still on the live, that's a really loaded question, because I would have a lot of questions back for you. What is the food? How often is this happening? Is it their reliable food? Does it happen at every meal? What are the other foods on their plate? There are so many other things that I would like to know before I could give you a proper answer. And I always say this, like, this is another one of the reasons that I don't do like single sessions with clients. We have an ongoing contract or agreement where we have calls for usually 5 months, because there are so many other things to work on here. And that is a really good example. So why aren't they touching the other things on their plate? How long has this been a problem? Will they interact with it in any other way? So I have a lot of questions that I need to understand where your child is at currently before I can provide you more information, because I can give you, like, my short answer would be yes, you can give them seconds. But then there are so many different strategies that you can employ at the meal to help them get comfortable with other things. And around the meal, like between the meal, before the meal, after the meal, conversations to have. So where your question is, it seems really simple, it's actually quite nuanced in the answer that I would want to give you, so that you get the best and the most out of the answer. So what I will say before I sign off, if you're new, I am Talia. I'm a kids dietitian. I work with kids between 1 and 10 that are picky eaters. I've got a couple of online courses. If sweets are an issue, stress-free sweets and eats. If you've got a picky eater and they're obsessed with sweets, I have a bundle that you can buy both courses together, the Mealtimes course and the sweets course. And you get a discount when you buy those, because if you've got a picky eater and they're also obsessed with sweets, you've got to work on the picky eating, which is the underlying issue, but also you want to work on the healthy relationship with food aspect as well, so that your child does grow up to have a healthy relationship with all foods, including dessert. And that'll also help make you less stressed out when you're handling giving seconds of that favorite food. And the other thing is that I do have a group coaching. We're halfway through my current group. The next group starts in July. If you are interested, 3 spots are already taken. The groups are really small, so if you're interested, the link's in my bio. You can read more about it. And if you have any questions that aren't answered in the description, just send me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook, and I will help you decide. Like, I want to help you decide. You need to be confident that that's the right program to help you out. So thanks for being here, and I hope you found this live helpful and can walk away with some actionable tips. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. Have a great day or night.